Attention!
Welcome to the Film Mages Podcast, where the popcorn is our ammunition, the couch is our foxhole, and the cinema is our place of worship.
Now let me see your war face.
Chitty, chitty, chitty,
Oh
chitty, chitty,
my
chitty, chitty,
God,
chitty,
folks.
chitty,
How
chitty,
about
chitty,
those
chitty, bang.
fucking 96th Annual Academy Awards? I can't fucking believe it.
Happy to be here after the Academy Awards have come out, because we are definitely recording
I cannot
after.
believe. Yeah, it's insane. I mean, I'm not surprised. I had a feeling. I had a feeling that Maestro would sweep the Oscars. I knew it.
Yeah, you know, there's
you know what? I feel vindicated.
there's some black sheep out there that just stole the races. Is that the right phrasing?
Yeah, the black
race?
sheep. You could say that the Academy Award made some bad choices this year, but that's okay. We'd like to thank the Hollywood Foreign Press for having us here today on What Show Is This? What are we listening to? What's going on?
God damn it! You didn't even let us introduce ourselves, you son of a bitch.
That wasn't even on purpose. That one slipped out,
God.
which
funny.
won't hold up in court, as I found out.
Well, hello everyone. I'm Zach.
I'm Mick.
I'm Alexis, and this is the Film Majors.
It sure fucking
Nice.
is.
I never say that part.
You
I
never
know.
do.
Zach's really fucking sleeping on this right now. I don't know what's
Zach,
going on.
wake the fuck up.
It's almost like Zach's internet is on a huge fucking delay, and so he's a little bit behind everyone else.
It's almost like I shut your
You
brain
know-
off when I suggested you lightly beat me earlier, but that's fine.
Oh my God. We just don't ever bring the group chat into the actual podcast. Don't
Why?
ever talk
The
about
group
the
chat
things we
is
text
so
each other.
wholesome and fun. You know, we're just having a good, boy time in there. You know,
Wholesome
Just
and fun are two words I would
mutual
absolutely never
fun.
describe our group chat as.
Yeah.
I would describe it as
Hedonistic
toxic,
and
and I
depraved.
would describe myself as seeking an HR rep. But we don't have one because we're a little underground operation. It's just the three of us.
I thought we
Also,
had an
Alexis
HR
is HR,
representative.
and Oh yeah, I guess we do. Yeah, our
Yeah,
guest from
they
last
fired
week
Mick.
has claimed that they're HR.
Apparently, we don't listen to HR though. So, have you guys seen any movies this week?
No. I have.
You know what? I have not seen any new movies this week. In fact, I have been busy working on a movie, so I've had no time at all to
What you been
watch
working on,
any
Mick?
new films, which makes me really sad. I'm working on a movie. You know,
Break that
technically I
NDA.
didn't sign an NDB, but
Hey!
or an NDA, excuse me. But yeah, I working out here at Joshua Tree, working on a thriller. It's a thrilling experience.
Nice.
But I will say, it's paying the bills, so it's great. I'm having a good time. But actually, can I say something?
Sure.
This is not movie related whatsoever, but this is now going to be rant corner.
Okay.
What is the deal with Joshua Tree? Why is it a popular
I don't
place?
understand
I
it
like
because
Joshua
I don't
Tree.
actually like to be outdoors. So,
I do like to be outdoors, and I don't get it.
It's beautiful.
I've been here for about a week, and the first day or two, it's nice. The trees are spiky. They are very unique.
my favorite thing is this TV show that I watch, Viva, where like two of the characters are like talking at a wedding, and they're like, "Yeah, you should come up to our cabin for Joshua Tree. We're gonna take some mushrooms and have just like a beautiful experience. You should bring your partner with you." Like, I don't know that. It's very LA because like the TV show takes place in East LA, so it's a very LA thing to be really into going to Joshua Tree. I feel I don't get it. I don't like being outdoors, but
Yeah. What Vita is raising is a very good point, which is all these LAites go out to Joshua Tree to trip balls. And I have a theory for that. It's because you go out and you go to Joshua Tree Park and you're like, this is really weird. This looks like, I don't know, what you might imagine Mars would look like if trees started growing, right? It's kind of weird, it's kind of wacky, gives Dr. Seuss vibes. But within 2 days of being there, you're so bored out of your fucking mind that the only thing you can do is like, guys, we got to get high. We have to watch these trees dance. We've got to get so inebriated. We got to get really high.
Wasn't that your crazy bike story? Was in Joshua Tree?
Yes. I did, when I was in my freshman year of college, do a 2-day bike ride out to Joshua Tree from Los Angeles. And I found it quite beautiful.
Wow.
I enjoyed the spiky trees. I really like just like being in the desert. I think it's a very beautiful environment.
You see, now, you're a desert person. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's dry and barren.
Like, do you remember when we went hiking in Humboldt and you were like, Alexis, why aren't you stopping to like look at things? And I just kept being like, if we stop now, I'll stop and turn back. So we just had to keep forging forward.
Yeah, no, you're an awful person to hike with. I've tried it, and it's just like look at all this lovely stuff, and I look over and she's just gone, and it's not.
I have a destination, and it's to the end of where I'm capable of getting in my hike.
Oh yeah, we're in fucking business. You know, don't we love it? Don't we love Spectrum brand Wi-Fi? We love it, folks.
What are you drinking, Zach?
I'm drinking some Turner Classic Movies brand wine.
Which movie?
So this box didn't come with any fucking recommendations.
It's just wine.
Defeats the. I mean, listen, I love to have a big box of wine.
What's the wine called?
This is Vina Dovfava.
Nailed it.
Thank you. Thank you. It's Portuguese wine. You know, I speak Portuguese.
I would like to apologize to all of our Portuguese listeners. Vina de Fava.
Vina do Fava.
Babadoosh.
Skadoosh. Yeah, no, we got kicked off my fucking Wi-Fi because, you know, a certain HR rep has decided to move our router into a bad place, and they'll be hearing from my lawyers.
That's
Point
right.
of no return.
But yes, that's why I am. I'm not a big desert person, as
Great.
you know. We were talking about Joshua Tree, but I will say, I did watch Dune Part 2 as we discussed in the previous episode. Give it a listen. And going back to a desert environment after watching Dune Part 2, I did enjoy listening to Hans Zimmer's scores as I'm like walking through Joshua Tree National Park. I kept banging my fist on the ground, and I just frightened this little gopher. Nothing.
Yeah, Mick's always trying to get that. Mick's always trying to get that worm to come.
I'm trying to get the worm to come.
I saw a new release that was not Dune Part 2.
What did you see?
So technically, it had its first release in 2023, but it was not released in the States until this past weekend. And that is Robert Morgan's indie horror film Stop Motion, which I quite enjoyed.
You liked it?
Yeah, I thought it was a good time. It. Have you ever seen Censor? No?
No.
I don't think so. Is that
It
a horror
kind of-
film?
TiVo.
Yes, it's another British horror film. Censor's about a woman who is in the 1980s censoring video nasties. And is kind of starting to lose it. For those of you who don't know, the video nasties, it was a period where Britain was essentially censoring films on moral grounds. The Evil Dead is one of the most famous video nasties. Anyways, so yeah, she's censoring video nasties and kind of losing her mind. And Stop Motion has some similar vibes, except it's about a cool lady who's shooting a stop motion horror movie and is also starting to lose it.
Nice.
All of the stop motion sequences are like so fun and creepy. There's a certain point where you kind of, about halfway through, you kind of realize where the movie's going, but it has a lot of fun getting to where it's going. And, you know, after 2023, which I thought was broadly kind of a weak year for original horror films, it was nice to start 2024 off with a pretty fucking good one, and saw a whole bunch of trailers for movies that I'm very excited for. The two big ones being this movie called In a Violent Nature, which looks like kind of a ponderous movie following like a Jason Voorhees type. It's kind of like from his perspective.
Cool.
And then one that I have been so fucking excited for since I heard about it last year, a movie called Late Night with the Devil. Yeah, it's got David Dastmalchian in it, who I fucking love. He's one of our great that guys. You'll probably recognize him as the really crazy guy who Harvey Dent holds hostage in The Dark Knight, or as he was Polka Dot Man in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, and he was in The Last Voyage of the Demeter last year.
Right.
Anyways, it's like a very spooky looking movie that's set during like a talk show, I think in like the 60s or 70s. And it's got like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre sort of voice in the trailer. Like the trailer ends with the voice going, "Late Night with the Devil." And I'm like, yeah, that's all you had to fucking do. I'm in.
You said it stars David, what's his name?
Dastmalchian.
David Dastmalchian. Yeah. We love it. He's in Blade Runner and he's in Dune.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's in Dune Part 1.
You know, he lives in Van Nuys, or at least he lives in like the border between Van Nuys and Sherman Oaks. But he's
what the fuck? David, come on the show, man.
He lives like 12 minutes away from us because a friend of mine has a friend who is apparently neighbors with him. And he just lives like right in like Van Nuys, Sherman Oaks area. He's like, yeah, I just see him walking around a bunch. He likes this Mexican restaurant down the street.
Man of the fucking people.
Yeah, he was in Oppenheimer. Oh yeah, I know.
Oh my god, yeah, he is in Oppenheimer. Fucking Dastmalchian, he does it all. I love that guy.
Yeah,
anyways,
he really does.
I'm really excited to see a movie where he's getting to play a lead role. And this specific movie, I'm so excited for. It comes out.
I like how
a
it's
week
listed
from
as a
the
horror comedy.
Oh shit! I didn't know that.
And you know that also the narrator. You know the narrator. You said, "Oh, I like how it has that Texas Chainsaw voice."
Yeah.
You know who the narrator is?
Who is it?
Michael Ironsides.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mick, buddy, you got to find your way back to LA on March 22nd, buddy. Late Night with the Devil. Yeah, so that
I'm excited.
that comes out a week from when this episode is coming out. So,
hell yeah.
a few weeks from now, you should hear at least my thoughts on it, because I'm very much planning on seeing this.
That's how I feel. Go ahead.
Oh, I also saw Dick's the Musical, which was fine.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Interesting.
Great. I'm really excited for Love Lies Bleeding.
Oh my god, yeah.
Me too.
Our past and future guest, Kristen, went to a cast screening and got to see a Q&A with Kristen Stewart.
Yes.
And she gave it 5 out of 5 stars. She absolutely loved it. And it was kind of funny. I haven't seen the movie yet, obviously, but we talked about how she loves that we get a like super gory like film, like a feminist film from the feminist perspective that isn't necessarily doing anything deep. It's just being fucking fun for fun's sake. Like, and she's like, how come the boys get to do movies that are just fucking crazy that don't necessarily mean anything, but women, it has to be about something. She's like, this is a movie that's just fucking nasty and it's fantastic.
I'm so excited.
And yeah, so people are kind of comparing it to a Cronenberg film, which I'm excited for because
say, baby.
Apparently people are being kind of upset about Love Lies Bleeding, and when I heard that, I was like, yeah, that's just like Cronenberg. People didn't like his movies either, and I didn't know that the director of this movie did Saint Maud, which I'm super fucking psyched for. So yeah, so that and fucking the devil movie you just mentioned, March is shaping up to be fun. Yeah. Sorry, Alexis, what were you saying?
I finally watched Straight Outta Compton.
Oh my god, yeah, I haven't seen that either. How was it?
How was that?
You know what? I really enjoyed it. To be fair, like, we all know Ice Cube from fucking like Boys in the Hood, Are We There Yet, Friday, like, you know, I know his more popular kind of mainstream like rap songs, but like, you know, I didn't grow up on like true like 80s, like late 80s, early 90s rap, you know. I grew up on like late 90s, early 2000s rap. And so it is always very interesting to me from like a educational standpoint to like watch a biopic about like a group that, you know, kind of made a lot of changes for their genre, you know. And honestly, they look like they're having, you know, other than a couple of the things that happened, you know, like they definitely were having a good time.
Yeah, they were having a good time until maybe they weren't.
I like how you preface that.
Eazy-E was having a great time.
Oh, don't say that.
Yeah,
you know,
it's fucking... Listen,
RIP,
I don't know how I've never seen
I mean,
Straight
he
Outta
was
Compton.
definitely having a good time until he fucking contracted HIV.
Yeah.
And that is probably how he...
Well, it's interesting that you like talk about how, you know, this wasn't the music that you listened to growing up. I got very into NWA in high school, which was very cool of me. But yeah, that's
wow,
like,
yeah, pat yourself on the back, white boy.
I'm just
Jesus.
like, I'm not good at like knowing most musicians. My musician girlfriend will attest to this. But like NWA is like one of the few groups where I've like listened to a lot of their music. So I don't know how I just like never ended up seeing Straight Outta Compton. It's probably out of town or something. My friends went without me. In fact, I know that's
it's
what
really
happened.
funny. Like my boss has a shirt that literally says like straight out of Fresno, and he's also been to prison. And like, you know, like he, you know, like for him, like NWA and like Dre and like, you know, these guys are like, you know, they're real shit for him, you know, and I mean, they are real shit. They're great. And honestly, like I didn't even realize, like, you know, sometimes you hear like songs, you know, contemporary songs now, and then you'll hear like an old song and you realize, oh, it was just a sample from that song, which is obviously a sample from something else. But honestly, Dre, wow. Oh my God. His samples are like, I knew this because like I grew up like listening to like 50 Cent and Eminem, who were under Dre's label, but like he just has the best fucking samples out there. Like he's so fucking good. I liked the movie. I think I gave it like 4 stars or something. It's crazy how much fucking Ice Cube's son fucking looks like him. He looked just like him. Swear to God.
O'Shea Jackson Jr. Or that's it.
And it's also interesting, since we just covered Boys in the Hood, to like, number one, that I didn't piece together that NWA has a song called Boys in the Hood, which probably also plays into why that's called that movie's called that. But also it's fun to piece together like kind of where Ice Cube was like, you know, in his own personal like life and career in between, like before and after he did Boys in the Hood, you know? Yeah. So kind of fun.
Nice.
I'm embarrassed to say that the only movie I've ever seen O'Shea Jackson Jr. in is Cocaine Bear.
What, you haven't seen? Wow. You haven't seen Godzilla, King of the Monsters?
Is he in that?
I think so. He's in one of them.
God.
You know what he is in that's very good is Ingrid Goes West. If you're looking for something to watch.
Oh, fuck. Okay, then I have seen him in something else because I've seen that movie.
Yeah, he's the guy who Aubrey Plaza has the thing with. They have like the sex scene that's from Batman Returns.
Right. Okay, good. I have seen him in a good movie then. Okay, I feel better. I feel better. That movie, that's a fucked up film.
Yeah, it
really
is.
Good.
Really like that movie.
That guy from fucking Game Night, what's his name?
Oh my God, Billy Magnuson.
Billy Magnuson, Billy Magnuson is super funny. But in Ingrid Goes West, he gets to be like a villain.
Yes.
And he's really like fucking scary.
Yeah, he's menacing.
So we always got to see more Billy Magnuson and things.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, also just like speaking of Godzilla really quick, I was on the first episode of the Big Lizard podcast that our roommate Jacoby just started. It was a lot of fun. I got to watch Godzilla. You know, I might pop in again. Who knows?
Nice.
Yeah, former guests Jacoby Hulk Luke and Sang are both hosting a Godzilla podcast. Go give it a listen.
Tight.
Yeah,
I liked watching the first Godzilla film.
That's
however
like an incredible movie.
Yeah, I think I talked about it in What's Going On, whatever episode that was. But yeah, that's like, I was so impressed by how much of like I hate this term, but like an art film that is. Like, again, if you had told me that Akira Kurosawa had attempted a kaiju film and showed me that, I would have been convinced. But, you know, Ishiro Honda
knows what's going on.
I mean, you could argue that Hishiro Honda kind of started the horror tradition of your first one is super serious, and then as the sequels come, they just get more and more ridiculous and funny.
That's actually a really solid point.
Yeah.
It would have been around the same time that The Invisible Man has Creature from the Black Lagoon has like a sequel that involves the creature like putting on clothes and walking around.
Nice.
I would argue even that like Scream 3 is like kind of purposefully a little camp, you know?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I would probably say it probably does start with Godzilla.
Yeah.
And it's so funny too, because like Ishiro Honda made most of the goofy ones. Like he made so many. You can like talking about directors of Godzilla movies, you can honestly save yourself time by saying this one wasn't directed by Ishiro Honda, because you can just kind of assume that most of them are.
Yeah. Yeah, good times. So go ahead and listen. Where can you find that podcast, Zach?
Yeah, you can find it wherever you find our podcast on all of these streaming platforms. Look it up. It's the Big Lizard Podcast. It's not on this feed, but it's good, and I'm on it.
Nice.
Well, do we have anything else, Alexis?
No, let's hop out. Well, actually, I'm moving into my new place finally. I have a couple more things to do, but we started this week, and I think by the time our next episode is out, not this one that's coming out here, but the next one after that, I will be fully moved in, and I'm really fucking stoked.
Let's go, dude.
Nice. Is this the rental that you have been like renovating, right?
Yes.
Nice.
Fuck yeah.
That's tight.
For months.
That's cool that you get to be like, or you get to kind of reap the rewards of all your hard work. Where you're like, I'm not just like putting renovations into a place for money. It's like, I'm going to live here.
I rest easy knowing that my father will never probably listen to this podcast. And that man is a control freak. And I have to repaint both of the rooms that I'm going to be using because he insisted that it be cream instead of white. And he was like, you can repaint it after you move in. And I was like, good, I will. Okay, that's fine. But that's fine. I'll just do extra work when I move in. That's fine.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, so now I have to repaint the rooms.
Nice.
Well, Godspeed with that.
Yeah, love to hear it. Love to do it.
Well, I guess, with that, we can probably hop on out of what's going on.
All right, let's slide our way in.
Ooh,
Oh,
yes.
yes, slide in.
Daddy?
Ooh, good Lord.
I don't like that that's how we're back in this, but we're back in this.
Yeah.
And
Oh, no.
we're back
No.
into our next big topic of musical march. Da ba da ba da, a scabba da ba, a do ba da ba da ba da ba da ba do ba, a za ba ba da, ba ba da ba, ba ba da ba ba, ma ba da ba, za ba da ba, ba ba da ba ba, ba ba ba, ba ba da ba.
All right. Cut the music.
All right.
Cut it.
And, what is more relevant to talking about musicals than discussing the greatest cars of cinema?
I have often asked that myself.
They go hand in hand.
In fact, actually, when I found out that musical march was what the good voters of this country that we love, the United States of America, had decided on, I was excited because I knew that it meant that I got to talk about one of my passions in life, which is car fandom. I love cars. I always have.
I know.
And we're going to get into that a little bit later. But, you know, what's funny is so often vehicles, cars in the annals of film history are just as famous as the characters that we revere. And they are synonymous with some of our favorite films. And so we just wanted to discuss for today's very special episode, what are some of our favorite film cars? Like, why are they your favorite? And Alexis, I think she's looking up right now famous film cars as we speak. And so she can pick hers.
No, I'm actually, I'm looking at when we went to the car museum together.
Oh my God, that horrific thing that has slithered onto my face. Listeners, I'm so
beard.
sorry.
I liked it.
I'm so sorry, listeners, but
I don't
Alexis
know why
just
you're
showed... It's awful.
Mick, I don't know why you're apologizing to our listeners because your beard is in our podcast.
I know, but maybe people think that was just a creative decision to make me look more Russian.
No.
Maybe,
He had that
maybe it was a
beard.
decision to make me look more Bolshevik. But no,
Nope.
listeners, it's true.
can
I had a
I-
beard. Awful.
Can I have
Cursed.
a quick moment to? I know we're the film majors, but I really just want to shout out the 1967 Impala from Supernatural because that car is sexy as fuck, and we saw it at the Peterson.
Dude, I thought about that car when I was in the shower.
Completely
earlier today.
unacceptable.
I'm not even kidding.
This is
Right?
fucked. This is totally fucked.
I know this
Absolutely
good.
not.
I know this isn't the TV majors, but honestly,
It's not.
that Impala from Supernatural is, oh my God. Oof.
All right. Well, bringing it back to film and doing a little cross promotion with our bonus content, the Purge cast. I love the car that is covered in Christmas lights in the Purge election year that Kimmy the Candy Bar Girl rolls up in. That is an iconic moment with a vehicle. She shows up in a car that is literally wrapped in Christmas lights, which I didn't think was a thing, but then I actually saw a car covered in Christmas lights this December. But yeah, she rolls up in a car completely covered in Christmas lights, blasting Party in the USA, and it's iconic. And the car makes that scene iconic. So shouts out Kimmy
Hell
the
yeah.
Candy Bar Girl, and shouts out The Purge, because we love The Purge.
I have to ask a question. I know we are inching dangerously close to like toxic film. It's not even toxic. It's just film bro-y, which I don't really love, but I have to ask because we've actually never discussed this on this podcast. But which is the best Batmobile?
I'm so glad you brought it up. No, I'm so glad you brought it up.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
You're so funny.
Listen, I was just throwing a curveball so that I didn't have to immediately say the Batmobile. What's a more iconic car, period, than the fucking Batmobile? That's a car that people know the name of.
Yeah.
Like, oh man. I mean, okay. So, well, I'm not particularly partial to the Tumbler from Nolan's movies as a design.
Ooh.
It is in one of my favorite scenes with a Batmobile when it's like leaping over the rooftops in Batman Begins.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
got a lot of great lines associated with it. The cop who's trying to call in this vehicle over the radio, he's like, it's a black tank.
Yeah.
That bit's great. When Alfred is talking about how, I went along with this madness because you said that it wasn't about thrill seeking. And then Bruce Wayne is like, yeah. And he's like, then what in God's name do you call that? And you see it like on the news and he goes, damn good television. Like,
There you go.
Those movies, like, people talk about how those are like the serious Batman movies. That first one in particular has some great fucking one-liners and great fucking jokes associated with the Tumbler.
Yeah.
But
Pretty goofy.
That doesn't really answer the question. I would say that my two faves are Michael Keaton's and Robert Pattinson's.
Yes. You know, actually, I have to say, I like the Tumblr. I know it's not pretty, but it's basically like, let's take Batman, let's try to ground him in as much reality as possible. If he builds military gadgets, like what if, I just love the idea that the Batmobile is basically a failed prototype that was originally built for the American defense industry. And then that's just what Batman uses, which again totally goes hand in hand with how he's a fucking fascist. But anyways,
Neither here nor there.
I love in The Dark Knight where they have the big chase with the semi truck down below, and the guy that's driving the armored car is like, "Is that a bazooka?" I love it when the Tumbler, just like when Batman fucking accelerates that thing and it hits that garbage truck and wedges it into the roof of into the ceiling of that tunnel. It's tight.
Sick.
That is so
the Tumbler
tight.
is in a lot of great scenes.
Yeah.
I just don't really like its design. I like Michael Keaton's Batmobile because it looks just like kind of like a giant rocket ship on wheels.
Yeah, it's a turbofan jet with tires. Which is not
it's
a
got
bad
like
thing.
it's got like wing fins. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And then I like that Robert Pattinson's Batmobile is just this little fucking like I don't know what type of, I don't know cars. This topic was throwing Mick a bone. But like the Pattinson Batmobile, I like that it kind of grounds it and brings it back to it just being a fast fucking car. Granted with a turbo engine on the back. But like also just that chase scene with him and the incomparable Colin Farrell as the Penguin is so fucking good.
Yeah, I'd agree. That shot upside down where Penguin, his car has been flipped, that huge tanker truck has exploded, there's rain coming down, and you just see Robert Pattinson's Batman and the Batmobile silhouetted within the flames as he's walking up. Gorgeous.
Or the scene where the car jumps out of the explosion.
Oh,
rips.
Fantastic.
It fucking rips. It's so cool.
So I don't like the Joel Schumacher Batmobile. Don't like it. It's stupid. It looks like a shark. Looks like a tiger shark.
I just kind of like those movies.
Ugh. Alexis,
You know, when you guys,
do you have a favorite Batmobile? You've been like really silent over there.
I honestly could not even tell you the difference between any of the Batmobiles, like, unless you showed me pictures. I'd be like, yeah, I think that one's from this movie, maybe? I don't even think I've seen all the Batman movies, to be honest. When you guys brought up this this topic, my immediate thought was the 1967 Shelby GT500 Eleanor from Gone in 60 Seconds.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I love Gone in 60 I know I've said this so many times on this podcast, but I fucking love Gone in 60 Seconds.
I made kind of a pact with myself that I would see Gone in 60 Seconds before the next time you guys brought it up, and I haven't. So maybe that's my project for tonight after we wrap.
You guys remember the Pussy Wagon?
Yeah.
Iconic.
Yeah.
Iconic. Yeah.
That's
it's also
Kill Bill
iconic.
1, right?
Wait,
Volume 1?
that's Kill Bill Volume 1.
Right.
I think so. Wait, is it?
Yes. No, it is.
Yeah,
it is.
yeah. You know what else is also pretty iconic, though? You know, in Little Miss Sunshine, that, like,
the VW bus.
The bus that they have. I mean, it's kind of its own character, kind of, in the movie, you know?
Yeah.
Well, we want to talk about cars that are characters. I think, honestly, this is probably my favorite movie car. Mm-hmm. Christine, baby.
Oh, yeah.
A movie where the car is literally a character, and she is evil. John Carpenter does so much to like make that car legit menacing, and also like you know what she's like. You know that you know what she's feeling. She can communicate with songs on the radio. She's protective of her man. I mean, she's the total package. I love Christine.
If Christine was broken, Zach would be going, I can fix her.
Listen, she does break.
I was just thinking that.
Excuse me. Some people break Christine, and that's the beautiful thing is she fixes herself because she's a strong, independent car. She don't need no man.
Ahead of all the girls you normally like.
I'm not gonna lie. I was watching stop motion, and there is a point where our protagonist
Zach.
just absolutely
Zach.
loses it. And I was sitting there with my girlfriend, and I was like,
Zach.
"She's allowed. She's allowed to do that." But this was more
Oh
from
my
an
God.
artistic perspective, and if you see the movie, you'll know what I mean.
Nice.
Well,
that was
because you guys didn't see what I meant when I said that the what you would call Brahms deserved a second chance.
no. I think as film majors and filmmakers, you guys will understand and relate to her struggle.
Okay.
But yeah, Christine, I think that's my final answer. I love that car.
You love Christine.
She's
Okay.
a babe.
I mean, to be honest, I stand by my choice, Gone in 60 Seconds, because, like, Nicolas Cage spends the whole fucking movie, like, personifying that car into, like, this unattainable goddess. So she becomes larger than life.
It's the objectification of his ambition to win and to fail. Because every time he fails and goes to jail, it's because of Eleanor. It's like his kryptonite. It's the forbidden fruit.
Yeah.
And I love that scene where the night before he has to steal her, he goes and does like a little location scout and kind of walks up to Eleanor and starts like putting his hands on her paneling and the paint and starts talking to her about how you're going to be kind tomorrow.
He's
We're going to
talking
do
her
this.
up.
Yeah. You got to talk her up a little bit. Great.
Why
great
are we
pick.
all trying to fuck a car right now? What's happening?
Oh, God.
How do you know
know
I didn't already?
Oh, good Lord. Well, I have to say, so I have two more answers. One is, I just have to say, it's not my favorite, but I have to salute perhaps one of the best car movies or best car franchises. And no, it's not Fast and Furious, it's the Mad Max films. It is the Mad Max films. The V8 Interceptor that is owned by Mad Max in the first one, in Mad Max 2, or in the United States called Mad Max Road Warrior. You even get a little bit of it in Mad Max Fury Road, and I'm very excited for Furiosa because it looks like they are going balls to the walls with crazy car designs and creations, which
Can't
they
wait.
do in real life. I also love the War Rig. That thing is fantastic. Go back and listen to our Mad Max Fury Road episode, folks. It's fantastic.
That's one of our best, in my opinion.
It's a
I'm
good-
very
yeah.
proud of that episode.
Yeah, it's great. It's great, and it's full of great cars. But my last answer is perhaps I would say, as famous, maybe not as famous, but it's pretty up there with the Batmobile, and that is 007's
The Aston Martin. I knew you were going to say that.
Is it the 1964?
It's the 1963.
63. Or 60, no, 62. It's a 62 because it's 50 years old. They bring it up in Skyfall.
That's right.
Really?
62. Well
Yes.
done, Zach.
I remember.
Because the one that we saw at the Peterson was the 1964, which is the one that I have a picture pulled up for. It was my favorite car. I only took a picture of two picture cars
Yeah.
other than the Supernatural car, and one of them was the 1964 Aston Martin.
Alexis, wait, I remember when you saw that thing, I remember even you were like kind of beside yourself with how beautiful that car is. Like when that thing shows
I'm
up.
not a car person, guys.
No, neither me nor Alexis is a car person.
I remember
But it was
distinctly.
gorgeous.
I remember distinctly when I was watching Skyfall in theaters, and James Bond, played by Daniel Craig, he opens up that garage unit, and there it is, the OG, and that music comes in, the horn comes in, and you see it lit. I mean, it's just so beautiful, and it's so cinematic, and it has all sorts of gadgets. That thing can fire rockets. It has an ejector seat, and it can basically, transform in certain ways, which actually is, I think, a fantastic segue
To
into
talk about Transformers?
no, I don't want to talk about Bumblebee. But this is a fantastic segue into the film that we are discussing today, which is Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which is from 1968, directed by Ken Hughes, and I'm going to read a little description of it for you folks right now. While truant from school, young siblings Jeremy and Jamina meet the beautiful Truly Scrumptious, played by Sally Ann Hughes, who falls for their widowed father, Caractacus Potts, played by Dick Van Dyke, and his various oddball inventions, including the family's noisy rebuilt car, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. One day at the beach, Caractacus tells Truly and the children a fanciful fable about the villainous Baron Bombast, played by Gert Frobe, and his evil designs on the Potts family car. Now, before I talk about why this is a very good segue from James Bond into this film, I wanted to ask the question we always ask, which is, what is your relationship personally to 1968's Chitty Chitty Bang Bang? What does it mean to you?
I think I saw it when I was a child. I have very vague memories. I essentially saw it when I was too young to remember it.
Okay. Alexis, was this a first time watch for you?
This was a first time watch for me, but I've actually seen the trailer to this movie like at least a dozen times because the trailer comes on before Mary Poppins movie that I watched quite a bit in, I want to say like grade school. I watched I was like, I feel like this is something that I should watch because my mom liked it a lot when she was young. So I'm going to watch Mary Poppins. And then I really liked it because I loved, Julie Andrews and Dick Van Dyke, and they're great chemistry together. So and I was the type of kid that I didn't usually fast forward through the trailers. I liked to watch the trailers
never.
before
I think
the movies.
I would argue that we were probably all that kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've seen the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Like, I've heard at least the diddly for the main song, like at least a few times. So nice. I'd always been kind of curious, but I'd never been like, oh, I want to go watch a movie about a car.
Now, Mick, you had seen this movie quite a bit, yes?
Yes. So, yes, this movie I have seen. I don't even want to wager to guess how much I've seen this. I just know that my parents told me that I watched it so much as a kid that they kind of wanted to throw out the VHS of it and just say that they lost it because apparently it was like at least once a week, probably even more. Like, I would latch on to certain things and I would just be obsessed with them. And I have not seen Chitty Chitty Bang Bang since I must have been in the single digits in terms of age. But man, rewatching this was wild. Because I don't know when the last time one of you two watched a movie that you saw so much as a kid but have not seen since, and it's a weird experience. It's both very warm and familiar and extremely nostalgic, so you enjoy it. But then you also have your adult brain where you're going, yeah, this is... I don't know if this holds up, but
Mick, I'm glad you say that because I fucking hated this movie.
You hated it.
This is perhaps the roughest watch I've ever had for this podcast.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. You know what's funny is as I was watching it, I was like, I bet Zach hates this.
Zach did hate it. Your bet, buddy, right on the fucking money. Because let me tell you, this was a miserable experience for your boy Zach.
That's so funny.
There are several times where a couple of times the note, it is just L after L on this soundtrack appears in my notes. I hate the songs in this movie, man. I can't fucking stand them. I think it's an awful musical.
Okay. Can I give my 2 cents about it?
Please.
Okay.
I don't want this episode to just be me being an asshole. So
I didn't hate it or anything. I've seen. When I was watching the movie, I thought to myself, oh, okay, this is a very like classic kind of musical. But of course, like I've seen The Sound of Music and Mary Poppins a lot. And for me, like those songs are kind of bangers. So, this one, not as good, but there were a few songs that I was like, oh, you know what? I like this, enough. But it was really funny.
That's
like
a ringing
I started this movie and I immediately texted Mick and I was like, of course you would pick a movie that starts with a fucking car race, of course.
Oh.
And then like another 5 minutes later, I was like, this explains so much about
The fact that there are blimps in this, when the blimp showed up, I was like, God
Then when the
fucking
ship
damn it.
shows up?
Fuck off. Fuck off, you son of a bitch. Like
I was like, it literally has everything he wants.
Initially, I was going through this and I was like, why the hell is this the movie that Mick picked? Like, I get that it's about a car, but it has like everything that I find fucking grating about a musical. Like, it's just like,
That's so funny. I love Dick Van Dyke so much, though.
He's fine in this.
But he dances so well. I love his little circus act.
Listen, the scene where he is the like living toy. There is one grudging note in my notes that says the living toy dance is impressive. I will give it that.
Yeah, he's got great physicality.
Yeah, I just want to.
I also love that he's always said that like he doesn't like to do movies that like his children wouldn't have been able to watch, and I respect him for that.
If I was a kid, I'd be so fucking bored during this thing. The first hour of this, nothing happens.
Maybe not
man.
a kid back in the fucking 60s.
Here's the thing. This actually has something from 1960s films that I do kind of appreciate, which is like the big roadshow Technicolor like spectacle films. Like, you know, I don't know if you've seen Bridge on the River Kwai. It's a David Lean film, but it's a great example of these huge, expensive films where you don't get plot until 40 minutes in. You don't get where you're going until maybe an hour into the film. And there's something about that sweet fucking time that they're taking that I respect. I do respect it. Like, I kind of wish movies did that
love
more.
The sets.
It's like,
you know,
we're just fucking
I thought
living
the sets
in it.
were fun.
Mick, did you ever see those magnificent men in their flying machines?
Is that a movie?
Yes, I think it has a kind of similar vibe to this. It's a comedy from the 60s about like people from various different countries competing to like make the best plane to fly from like, I don't know, London to France. Like it's ridiculously short.
Can you see me like not faking a smile right now? Like that's a legit reaction. I'm like,
I
what?
watched it a lot as a kid. This is one. This is actually you're gonna watch me have the experience where I haven't seen a movie since I was in probably single digits or maybe like 10. I have a feeling that movie is probably aged really badly. Just
probably.
the fact that there are people from various different countries.
Yeah, when you said
appearing.
Different cultures, I'm like, that's not going to go well.
Yeah, it's not gonna. I haven't seen it in forever, but I have this nagging feeling in the back of my head that if I watch that again, I'm gonna go yikes. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about shitty goddamn.
I call it shitty spitty clang bang.
It would have been a better movie.
I love that. Shitty, splitty, clang bang.
I just want to just bring up a couple other notes that recur in my notes. Don't fucking sing it again. Do not sing it again. Don't you fucking dare. Don't do it. I'll kill you.
So if I may,
you may.
I'm not exactly upset that you are tearing this movie apart because I'm not entirely sure that I disagree because like here's the thing. I enjoy this movie. It's super whimsical. It is a solid kids film. This is a movie for kids. In fact, it's why I wanted to segue from James Bond into this is because this is based on an Ian Fleming novel. He wrote the James Bond books, and he was a chain smoker. He was a hard drinker, of course he was, and apparently had a very serious heart attack and brought him to near death. And his then nine-year-old child, his son, told him, "You love James Bond more than you love me." And that caused Ian Fleming to write a kid's book called Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which he wanted to be James Bond for kids, and basically wrote it for his son, but his habits didn't change, and he died before it ever even got published.
Sick.
The story
Never change, homie.
Never change.
I have a note.
Yes.
First of all, those children were fucking idiots. I
So
never would
annoying.
have gotten caught by the child. I wouldn't. Okay, you know what? They were fine. Okay, I deal with other children in my life that are like arguably sometimes worse. But I would have never gotten caught by the fucking child snatcher. Okay, I was born to be suspicious of strangers. And they were dumb. They're like, yeah, let's go get some fucking ice cream. Let's get a lollipop. And they're like, it's going to be fine. They told us to stay here, but let's go do it because we trust everyone.
So yeah,
This fucking idiot right
I guess
here.
this is technically
This fucking
This
dumbass.
is technically before Ted Bundy and before like the Night Stalker. So I guess like people were
more trusting because
back
they didn't
then.
know about serial killers.
so
That's a crazy.
So I guess that's fair.
This has got to be the first time Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and fucking Richard Ramirez got mentioned in the same sentence. Nice job, Alexis.
You're welcome.
so
Like to bring in a little context of history here.
in the original book, oh god, what is the name of the fictional country in this? Starts with a V.
Bulgaria.
So we're all
You're
familiar with the author Roald Dahl, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
he wrote the screenplay for this. He was the one that adapted this.
Oh
And-
man, what a bummer. I mean, I guess he
Well-
was a fucking anti-Semite, so I don't have
So-
to like him.
No, Roald Dahl apparently he got fired like halfway through the film because the producer Alfred, I want to say Broccoli, who is the producer behind all of the MGM films, James Bond.
Yeah.
He
The
did.
Broccolis
It's a real
still.
man.
All of them.
Yeah. The Broccolis still control the Bond rights.
Yeah, so he was the producer on this, and apparently he fired Roald Dahl because he said, quote, the screenplay was a piece of shit. That's a quote. And Roald Dahl was interviewed about it saying, you know what? I'm not mad about it. I got paid a lot of money, and sometimes you just have to do a cash grab in this business. So basically, everyone is kind of admitting that the story here isn't great. If I had to use a word to describe it, again, I do have a fondness for this film, but of course I would because I watched it so much as a kid. But to really look at it with my critical eye, I would describe this film as sterile. It's a sterile movie. You know what? In fact, someone else said it better. I found the Variety review for Chitty Chitty Bang Bang from this was published before the film was released. This was an early review from December 31st, 1967. And the opening line of the Variety review is, the $10 million film lacks warmth. No real feeling is generated between any two characters. So
I think I did a
kinda-
good
I don't
job.
really believe the chemistry between Truly Scrumptious and Mr. Potts.
I would just like to say-
you guys end up married. Why?
I think I did a good job writing that review.
yeah, that was quite.
Also, on a side note, her name is Truly Scrumptious, and then the kids sing this whole song about how she is truly scrumptious, and I was just like,
No, I like that.
feels
That's not
weird.
weird. No, it's totally cool.
Okay. I'm glad we're bringing up the name Truly
Mom is
Scrumptious.
a snack.
I'm glad we're bringing up the name Truly Scrumptious because that was the moment where I was like, oh yeah, no, Ian Fleming did write this.
Yeah, this is 100%. That's a Bond girl name for sure.
That's in.
she looks like she could be a Bond girl if just in different clothes.
Yeah, God. Sorry, Mick, you were saying about the Variety review.
Well, that is a Variety review, but to really backtrack, here's my thought about it. So it's a kid's book, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Mm-hmm. I think you could really compare this to Zemeckis' Polar Express. Because what they had to do in terms of
Taking such a weird
adapting
turn.
a short book for kids is like, how do we turn this into a feature film? Not only that, how do we turn this into a 2.5 hour Technicolor roadshow epic with an
Didn't have
intermission?
to make it 2.5 hours. Good
So-
Lord.
Well, they had to because that was what was popular at the time with Sound of Music and Mary Poppins. Like all these huge musicals were basically the MCU movies of its time. So they're like,
Yeah.
okay, well, let's take this. This is kind of fun, and let's just inflate it. So Roald Dahl.
In comparison, not as good.
Roald Dahl had to make Bulgaria, not in the real book. The whole child catcher, Baron Bombburst, none of that is in the book. That is all.
Wait, so the child catcher was a Roald Dahl invention?
Yes.
Well, Roald Dahl famously anti-Semitic, so it makes sense that the child catcher looks like Nazi propaganda.
Yeah, as a kid, I was terrified from the child catcher. Like, that's even now. I will say, here's one thing where I kind of wink at this movie. Like, God, this was the time when kids' movies could still be kind of fucked up. Because, like, there's literally, like, this is a kid's movie, but the child catcher says how I'm going to use her teeth to make a necklace and your eyeballs to make earrings. You don't get that in kids' movies anymore. I mean,
yeah, that's pretty fucked up.
That's pretty tight. And also the whole the scene where they're dressed as like Jack in the Box toys, where they're doing like that dance and shit. Mm-hmm. I like that. I think
was
that's
a good
really
scene.
Cool.
That's literally the only part of this movie I liked.
Oh, I really loved her little doll dance when she's wound up.
Yeah, so you know the story behind that? So that's Sally
That's
Ann.
in one take, right?
So it's one take, and the reason that whole thing was even created was actually a production necessity. So I actually knew this. I didn't even have to do research for that. I don't know why I know this, but Sally Ann Hughes, who plays Truly Scrumptious, beautiful woman, great singer, and she would be the first to tell you that I can't fucking dance. She was terrified of it. If you notice, she never does it in the film except for the end.
Yeah.
So they made a dance that she could do, which is just being stiff. Because she was like, hey, I can't swing my hips or move to the rhythm, but I can be like a wind-up toy at least. I can try that. I don't know. I still think it's going to be awful. Yeah. So they did it in one take. It looks good.
She invented the robot.
Basically, yeah.
LOL.
But here, one second. I have to say, the musicals in this, it just feels like
strange.
Why? It to me. I'm like,
okay.
Even the people that are making this feel like, well, what the fuck are we gonna do with a song? This, I guess, Toot Sweets.
Baron and Baroness, their song, the Coochie Woochie Toochie. When she's like, you're my Coochie Woochie. And I was just like, I kept wanting to say in my brain, like, Coochie Meow Meow, Coochie.
Let me tell you. There's a.
And this isn't a children's movie.
I'm sorry. I found a little note in here that says, "quote You're my little coochie face. Fuck off. This song sucks. This movie sucks. Boo, 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 boo. L after motherfucking L when it comes to these songs."
Yeah,
I'm gonna send you guys my notes for this movie.
She's in like a little, like almost like a showgirl outfit with these like incredibly long, hippie, long stocking braids.
I remember.
And she's like, coochie, coochie.
I remember Zach. Okay, so you know how Zach has said historically that when he watched Zorro as a young kid, it awakened something deep within him. The fucking that character. Oh God, what is her name? Baroness Bombburst.
Yeah.
When she shows up in that outfit with the long braids, I remember even as a kid, I was like, I want her to be my babysitter. Like I'm digging the Baroness Bombburst.
When she got launched off of the fucking like car,
That's
and
great.
then her skirt billows out, and she's just in the air, and he's like, I've been waiting 20 years for this opportunity, and then he starts shooting.
I've been waiting 20 years to kill my fucking bitch wife.
And then she falls down out of the sky into the lake, and he's like, "Are you all right, my sweet?" And she's like, "I'm all right, my Liebchen."
Yeah, and what does he say? He goes,
Honestly,
"Damn, so close." Like he was hoping she would be dead.
Okay, so
I thought that they were funny.
But little trivia though, really quickly, Baron Bombburst is played by Gert Frobe, who played Goldenfinger, and Anna Quall, who plays Baroness Bombburst, was a Bond girl at the time. So there's like so many Bond parallels to this. It's like the same crew.
Weird.
great.
So
Awesome.
much of the same cast.
I wish I was watching any of those movies.
The guy who plays the original Q is the scrapyard owner in the very beginning of this film. Parallels, man. They're everywhere.
Okay, I have a couple of things. One is like inherently musical related, because I want to talk a little bit about why I think this is a bad musical.
Go for it.
This is Mick, you were talking about how, you think that the story of Little Shop of Horrors was strong enough that you don't necessarily need the songs.
Right.
But the songs in Little Shop of Horrors serve like a dramatic function, right? Like
the movie doesn't stop to have a song the way this does.
In Little Shop of Horrors and in a good musical, the songs I think usually serve a couple of functions. They either serve to express something deep within the character that, words no longer suffice. Something like, even though it's a like campy, silly movie, Suddenly Seymour. It's, we're so in love that we have to break into song. Or the songs serve to drive the narrative forward. But
they're also bops.
Yeah, the song that Seymour and Audrey 2 have, Feed Me. That's like you get Seymour's decision that he's going to feed the plant. Or, they exist for a laugh. I don't think these songs are successful in any of those aspects. I suppose that they feel so fucking tacked on. They're threadbare and they make me angry, and they're also bad songs.
Yeah, it really does. Rewatching this made me go, it reeks of despotism. Like how it really made me think the characters like, what are we going to do with this?
When did this come out and when did Mary Poppins come out? Because Mary Poppins also has like a lullaby song. And like, I love Mary Poppins. So it's kind of, in general, I was kind of bored watching the movie, but there was aspects of it that I did enjoy. I did not hate it in the way that Zach is vehemently taking a big fat
think
dookie
this is the hardest watch I've ever had for this podcast. I think, to be clear, I think we have covered worse movies. But this movie is my least favorite type of bad movie because it is bad and long.
Right.
And that's fucking unforgivable.
So Mary Poppins came out in 1964. This came out 4 years later in 1968.
Oh, so this makes a lot of sense because there's like little aspects of it that I'm just like, oh, okay, I recognize this kind of thing from like Mary Poppins. So that makes a lot of sense. Okay. Dick Van Dyke, what would they have done without Dick Van Dyke? I feel like Dick Van Dyke's like personality and like expertise really carries a lot of this.
He is.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of Dick Van Dyke. I actually watched the Dick Van Dyke Show, believe it or not, from the 1960s.
Cool.
Love
Of course
that show
you did.
so much.
Of
My mom
course
loves that.
Mick, God, let me just say, my favorite aspect of this movie was nothing that like the movie in particular was doing, but just the fact that you told me this was a childhood favorite of yours and me just kind of going down the checklist and being like, yep.
Follow the thread. Follow the thread.
Yeah,
okay, so
literally.
in this movie, you have a flying boat car that is chased around by the Baron Bombburst, who has been sailing the seas in his wooden ship to get this car. You get it driving next to a train at one point. You get blimps. I mean, as I was watching this, like, I didn't remember, like, much of any of that. But as I'm watching it, I'm just like, yeah, no, this makes sense. This all makes sense. It's like you're pulling on my thread, and it's just, like, all unraveling. And it's this not very good movie from the 60s. But, okay, I will say, I agree that there are no songs in this that are absolute bangers. But the one that still gets me, that I actually do really enjoy, is Me Old Bamboo. I think that one is pretty fun.
Which one?
And it's pretty good. It's the one they do at the carnival when he's trying to hide from the guy that he destroyed his hair through that awful haircut.
Oh, that's I think one of the best scenes.
Yeah.
I think it has the most energy.
Yeah, it took 23 takes to get that right. And most of those dancers are about 15 years younger than Dick Van Dyke at the time.
Wow.
And it was terribly exhausting. It took so much choreography to get that right. And if you are a fan of Family Guy and you like the song A Bag of Weed, all you really need is a bag of weed, you watch this is what that is based on.
Bringing up another one of my least favorite things. God damn you, Mick.
But no, I like Mule
Zach.
Bamboo. I think it's a lot of fun.
The dancing is impressive.
Speaking of Dick Van Dyke being older, you know the dad who is kind of racist and thinks he's still in the jungles of Burma? He's younger than Dick Van Dyke.
What?
What do you mean by
Lionel,
that?
The actor who plays the dad
in real life.
in real life, Lionel Jeffries, is younger than Dick Van Dyke during the making of this film.
The old guy who's in like the shed?
Yeah.
To be fair, okay, no one will be surprised by this, but when I watched Mary Poppins for the first time, I had this moment of like, Dick Van Dyke's like
son of a fucking
really
bitch.
Cute.
Son of a fucking bitch.
Yeah. Hey, I will agree with Alexis. I think he's got something. He's got it's charisma. It's charm.
Yeah.
He's got riz.
He's got the riz. Yes, he has the riz. Absolutely, 110%. And he's just also sweet and charming and just like, I don't know. He seems like he's a good guy.
He's a tall, spindly white guy.
This is a serious contender.
Shut up!
I fucking nailed your ass to the wall.
I think Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is a serious contender for some of the movie's best dads. Like, when he goes to the... Yes, he is. Because when he goes to the carnival...
He's letting his children fucking be truant from school. Eat candy all day. You gotta teach them some goddamn moderation.
No, to let the other kids catch up. Because they are so smart, those two kids.
They get trapped by the child catcher. Again, I'm gonna. You know what I'm gonna do? I am going to post with whatever the poster of this episode is one of the children, the boy child, making the most head fucking empty face I have ever seen. You can't see it on the screen. I'm gonna send it to the group chat. It has to be seen to be believed. I had
this moment when they were like, here, Dad, like, have our treasures. Here's a crown. And, like, they're passing him things that are, like, literally just, like, junk and stuff. But they're like, get some money from this so you can don't even use it to buy our car. Use it for your inventions. And I was like, that's sweet. I wish I had that kind of imagination as a child, that I actually believed things like that were worth something. That seems like a nice thing.
I like how when he found out they wanted that car, he goes and performs and he uses the money that he made through Me Old Bamboo song to actually like buy that car for his kids. I thought that was sweet.
Fucking
That's
whatever.
Cool.
Sure.
It is.
Sure.
You know what? I don't know what it is about movies where there's like a good dad that I'm just like, yeah, into that.
Do we need to dig into that, or Alexis, are we comfortably sure that your father doesn't listen to this podcast?
You know what? I'm comfortably sure. I don't even think he'd know how to get it onto Spotify.
Okay, I'd just like to step out from the episode just for one moment to say that if you're a first-time listener, I think this episode has been a fantastic intro into who everyone here is. I think you've really gotten a clear picture of everybody's whole deal. You've got Alexis thirsting after a tall, spindly white man. You've got Mick talking about various vehicles. You've got me being a hater. It's the total package.
It's everything. That's true. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
like you get those episodes of television where you're like, I know this isn't the pilot episode, but this is a really good like introduction to the show. It kind of tells you everything you need to know about them. It's Chitty Chitty Bang Bang for sure. Yeah.
This movie also, though, does that thing that like we were specifically taught in film school not to do, which is to like be like at the end be like, it was all just a dream.
Let me tell you, when we got to that point,
and I had that moment at the end where I was like, all I can hear is David in my head.
Yeah, no, my last few notes,
this was gratuitous
and it was all a dream. Isn't that beautiful? Oh my god, I don't care. Oh my god, I don't care. Wrap it up. Great. He made dog treats. This movie is so fucking stupid.
I love that scene though when they're like getting the song kind of is whack or whatever, but then like they're like blowing on the whistle and then all the fucking dogs come and just totally trash the fucking like the pastry confectionery or whatever.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of fun.
Awesome.
I don't know.
Awesome.
You know, I'm a little less aggressive in my stances than you are most of the time. So, you know, did I love it? No. But were there moments where I was like, oh, that's kind of fun and whimsical and me, you know? Yeah.
You know, when Mick picked Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, I was kind of worried that I wasn't going to have strong feelings on it. So in a way, I'm grateful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah, Mick, I'm glad that you said that, you know, there are certain aspects of this that don't hold up for you as an adult, because if you had been like, oh man, this was a delightful movie from my childhood and it's just as delightful as I remembered it, I would have just frantically been holding my phone up and just deleting my notes, just being like, I can't do that. So
no, a thought I had while watching this was, thank God that this is from my childhood, because if it wasn't, watching this would be a chore. Zach,
hardest thing I've done all year.
Yeah, this is one of those rare occurrences where like a co-host of mine is absolutely thrashing something that I hold near to my heart, but I'm not bothered by it because I don't really disagree. Yeah. It's like it's a weird place where I'm at. I'm like, yeah, no, it sucks. It sucks. But you know what? At the same time, the production, I want to talk about the good aspects. Of course I do, because it was my pick. But I love the production design of it. Like the Rube Goldberg machines and shit that are in it. That's so much fun. That was so much fun. I loved the breakfast machine. I remember as a kid, like that whole Rube Goldberg thing was like fantastic.
I texted Mick and I was like, Pee Wee Herman would love this house.
Yeah. No, absolutely, like for sure. In fact, actually, like a wacky inventor, like from the 60s, who I guess made like theme parks and shit, was the actual person that made all of the wacky devices in this movie, like the weird vacuum, all sorts of weird devices in it. And his piece de resistance was the breakfast machine, which all worked. Like all you had to do was like, all right, let's roll camera, let's activate it, and it would do the whole thing. But it took a couple of takes. Dick Van Dyke apparently said that a few times it would fling an egg across set and hit like a crew member. It would like malfunction, and it would like hurl a sausage like across the set, and then he would have to go into like, oh, hold on, I gotta recalibrate this a little bit. But like, those are the kinds of things from this era of filmmaking that it's just craftsmanship.
Because it's all practical.
It's practical. Yeah. It's craftsmanship. It's a lost art. Like when the car becomes a raft, like that was tight. That was so cool. Like those helicopter shots of where the ship is firing cannons and this thing is just like skipping over the waves. I was watching it and I was like, this is great. This is so cool.
Mick just can't fucking wait for it to be boat month. I can tell.
It's like, I know, this is kind of gearing me up for it. But I was like, man, like they put so much money into this. And I'm not sure that they should have, but they did. And that's cool, man. Like, they didn't half-ass it. They didn't, I mean, you know, I think they half-assed the script and the music for sure. But when it came time to actually shooting it, once they had boots on the ground and cameras and stuff, they're like, let's go to the best locations. Let's shoot all over Europe, because we can't shoot in England, even though it takes place in England, because it's so rainy all the time. So let's shoot in France, and let's call it England. And let's go to Germany, and let's use that famous castle and actually have that be where Baron Bombers lives. I mean, that's tight. It's cool. I respect it. I may not like it as an adult now, but I am glad it exists. I appreciate it for what it is.
Here's what I'll say. There are many people involved with this film who will not see the gates of heaven.
Wow.
But I will not hold it against the crew.
So dramatic.
I will not hold it against the crew of this film, who did impressive in-camera work, I will not hold it against Dick Van Dyke, who's doing everything he fucking can and is still alive at time of recording, 98 years old. God bless him.
That's crazy.
You know what? We should stop talking about people on the podcast because they
I'm talking. This
died
episode doesn't. This episode doesn't come out for a week. I'm getting nervous because I went really hard against this movie. And let me tell you, if something happened, Dick Van Dyke, listen, stay in good health, buddy. I'm rooting for you. It's not selfishly because I just went on like a fucking hour-long tirade about how one of your most famous movies sucks ass. But I love you. You did what you could in this film.
You know, what's funny to me.
I love you too.
Well,
and
sorry, one second. I gotta say though, Alexis, you keep mentioning Mary Poppins, right? That's another famous Dick Van Dyke movie, and it's famous because it contains perhaps one of the worst movie accents in the history of film, which is Dick Van Dyke attempting a Cockney accent. Now, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang takes place in England. He has English kids. He has an English father. Let's be honest, he's an English character. And the director, Ken Hughes, had the good mind to go, you know what, Dick? Let's not do the accent.
No accent.
No,
don't do an accent.
Let's not do it. It's okay.
Do you know, to this day, when people are asked in England what is one of the worst on-screen accents, like literally 80% of them will say Dick Van Dyke.
Everybody says Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah.
Dick Van Dyke and
But
Mary
you know
Poppins
what?
is
Who
so
gives a
funny.
shit what the British think?
Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins stepping time.
Mick, have you asked your girlfriend what she thinks the worst English accent on film is?
No, actually, I should ask her.
Wow,
Ask her.
Really,
this is encouragement for the audience
research.
to come back. Ask her and report back next week.
The worst British accent. That's a good
also,
question.
Dick Van Dyke, I apologize because when I was texting Mick the other night, I said Dick Can Dyke.
Yeah, Dick Can Dyke. Open up a can of Dick Dyke.
I mean, listen, one of the greatest names in the biz.
I know. It's a gift that keeps on giving.
It's the dick that keeps on dicking.
But you know what's funny? There is some poetic justice in this because I was terrified of Musical March. And I just find it funny that the musical that I pick, and I didn't even do this on purpose because I hadn't seen this since I was a kid. The musical that I pick creates the most pain and the most torture for any of the hosts on the show, and it isn't me. Yeah. I'm not the one that's had the worst time of Musical March.
Personally, I'm fine. There were no dead dogs. Okay,
yeah,
so
but it almost
I
had
feel
you in
like
the
I
beginning.
came out on top.
That when the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang car, when it's still Formula One, almost hits the dog. I almost texted you, Alexis, going, that was close.
Oh, okay.
We almost had you.
Real quick, in the Formula One scene, when the car like swerves out of the way to avoid, is it a dog or a kid?
It's both. It's a kid holding a dog.
Yes. When the car swerves, I'm like, man, somebody has got to make an edit of this scene and the crash scene from Ferrari.
Yes.
Oh, well, that's so fucked up.
That would be great.
So fucked up.
Man.
Honestly, though, as a car fan, it's so cool seeing that era of Formula One, like its origins.
Fucking happy for you.
Being depicted on screen. You never get that, man.
Yeah,
like
we're all very
I love
happy
those
for you,
those old cars are so cool. I
Sick,
dig that.
man. Awesome. It's great.
Exactly. Wait, so I don't get fuck you, man. Hey, I have loves and I have passions and you shit all over it, man.
I'm happy for you. Listen, again, the best part of this movie was the understanding of some origins of passions of Mr. Mick Munyai. Genuinely,
Truly.
that was fun for me. That was the most fun that I had with this movie, is being like, oh, I get to see the formative
why he is the way he is.
A formative text of my buddy, you know, a good friend of mine for coming up on a decade now when you really think about it. But you know,
Jesus Christ.
yeah, think about that.
That's crazy.
Have you guys really known each other that long?
I mean, no, but like, think about it. When did we start going to Humboldt? 2018. So we're 6 years. Yeah, we're 6 years in. We're over the hump. We're more than halfway through a decade of knowing one another.
Past the halfway point. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Mick and I have lived together in some form for 5 years.
That's a little nugget for you, fans.
Yeah.
That's another origin story right there. Wait, okay, I have a question. I've got a quick question for you, though. Like, so if this was like a weirdly formative explanation for who I've grown into, if you had to pick, like, what is a movie equivalent of that for you two?
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
You think that's like an early
Easily.
cut that explains...
Easy money. It is incredibly silly. It has like dark noir mystery elements. It's weirdly scary for a children's film at certain points. And like, it is about a guy who is so annoying.
Right. Gotcha. Cool. Yeah.
It's about a guy who is annoying to his friends and wears them down until they like him.
Alexis, what about you?
I don't know. To be honest, I mean, I was like a Toy Story Lion Kid movie growing up, so I don't really know.
I don't know.
I mean, okay, you know what? Actually, to be honest, the Cartoon Network, Courage the Cowardly Dog. I think that might. It's strange. Sometimes I rewatch some of that stuff, and I'm just like, this is weird. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's just interesting how we're still not the TV majors, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I don't know what to say. Like,
Sorry.
I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm like, Balto? I don't know. I like a good boy. I like an underdog. I like a witch. I don't know. I
like
can't
dogs.
really think of, give me time to think about it. I got to come back to this, okay?
What's the one with the rat where he goes, if this is torture, chain me to the wall?
It's not a rat. It's a goddamn fucking chihuahua.
And it's Oliver and
Oh my
Company.
God.
Oliver and Company.
It is Oliver and Company.
Alexis, you showed me that movie. That's got to be one of them for you, right?
Oh yeah, I loved Oliver and Company growing up. Yeah. So, well, I mean, like I was definitely like a really big Disney fan, like growing up. So I watched a lot of The Lion King, Aladdin, The Little Mermaid, The Fox and the Hound, and Oliver and Company. I really loved animals. And I still to this day, which, to be honest, many of those movies are surrounding animals, and, you guys like to make me watch movies where animals are dying. And, I wouldn't want to say that, you guys are trying to like cut me in my core or anything, but, that's fine.
What's interesting to me is
Balto.
No. I'm honestly thinking about this where, as I've said during our first episode of Musical March, that this was going to be kind of like a deep reflective therapy month for me. And Chitty Chitty Bang Bang has been interesting because, like, now that I think about it, movies that I watched a lot as a kid were like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, Mouse on a Motorcycle, Stuart Little. And he had his own little car in that movie, if you recall.
Yeah,
and in the second one, he had his own plane.
Plane, yeah.
If I really trace everything back, look, if there's a mode of transportation in there, I'm gonna dig it. Like Thomas the Tank Engine with George Carlin, that shit slaps. It's cool. It's cursed, but it's cool.
Oh man,
Herbie the Love Bug. I loved Herbie the Love Bug.
I'm so happy that you're learning about yourself.
I know, me too. It's interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. I love like things that are very like the humor is kind of like sharp and sarcastic. That is kind of like what was going on in like the late 90s, like all the movies that were kind of coming out of like high school movies in the late 90s, and I was watching those a lot because my sister was in high school during that time, so I was watching movies with her. So like 10 Things I Hate About You and Scream were things that we watched like all the fucking time, so
Nice.
That explains a lot.
Well, do we have any closing thoughts on Chitty Chitty Bang Bang? I've been pretty hard on it. Mick, I'd love to hear.
Coochie moochie meow meow.
I'm going to shoot myself in the head. Mick, do you have any final thoughts on this film?
I wouldn't say any final thought. I don't know if I would recommend you to watch it. If you were a big fan of musicals from this era, I would say put it on your list at maybe number 5 or 6. You know, like if you're really into it, you should watch it. It's
if you
fun.
like that era of musicals, yes.
But like, I'm glad that we covered a musical from this era of the 50s and 60s where they were so huge. It may not have been great, but I'm glad we went into that era. I'm glad we went into that arena because I think it deserves a shout out.
I will grudgingly agree with you there. So for our next week's pick, we're not going to be sticking in that era. We're going to be getting a little more contemporary with it. And, you know, Musical March, it's a long month, but it's not long enough to contain all of the films that we want to talk about. And that is why next week, we're doing a double feature, baby. Mamma Mia, here we go again.
Here we go again.
That's right, motherfucker. We are discussing the 2008 film Mamma Mia, directed by Felita Lloyd and starring Meryl Streep, Amanda Seyfried, Pierce Brosnan, Stellan Skarsgård, and Colin Firth. And we are also discussing its 2018 sequel, Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again.
Here we go again.
Which was directed by, wow, I cannot find the director. Here we are. Ol Parker. And it has the same starring cast with the addition of a star-making turn from Lily James. And you can find both of these films on Netflix. How you doing over there, Mick?
Absolute dog shit. Absolute, utter, diabetic, cancerous dog shit.
You haven't seen either of these all the way through.
I've seen enough to make I know it's awful. It's so awful. Let's just get through it. Let's just get through this shit. Terrible.
Hey Mick, I see you, buddy. And
I have a question, Zach. When you were watching in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, did you decide like halfway through, like you're definitely doing Mamma Mia next?
I was thinking about it beforehand, and afterwards I was pretty resolute.
Can I read our text thread from earlier this week?
Please.
Monday, 4:52 p.m. Mamma Mia double bill for week 4. I said, "Oh, that will delight our co-host most certainly." And Zach said, "I feel like we've been going easy on him. Time to take things up a notch." And I said, "It's diabolical, and perhaps I forgive you the single dog death this month."
Listen, I'm just pissing everybody off tonight.
It's just absolutely the bane of my existence. I hate it. I don't even need to see it. I can tell you I hate it.
This is so good.
Let's just skip to the next episode.
I think
I just remembered I'm going to be sick next episode.
I think you might be surprised. I think you might be surprised about how much you like at least one of these movies. I'm not going to say both.
My God. It's terrible.
I think I'm going to rewatch the live action Cinderella before our next episode because I really liked that movie when it came out, and Lily James is so pretty.
And with that, we've come to the end of our episode. Again, if you want to find either of those movies, you can find them on Netflix, or you can find them in our Meryl Streep box set on our shelf. And if you want to find us, the Film Majors, you can find us at Film Majors Pod on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and TikTok. And if you want to shoot us an email, tell us how much you love Mamma Mia. You can email us at filmmajorspod@gmail.com.
Here we go again, baby.
Sayonara.
I'm gonna die.